A very good evening to you. Welcome to Korero, a platform where we help you make sense with national issues and burning issues that help you even stay informed on a regular basis. Now, housing remains one of Nigerians' most pressing economic challenges. Well, across major cities, rent prices continue to rise, leaving many families struggling to secure affordable accommodation. At the same time, real estate investment is expanding, with estate and high-end developments growing rapidly. But this raises critical questions. Why does housing deficiency persist despite increased construction? Are real estate investments addressing the need of the average Nigerians or primary targets higher income earners? That's probably the primary concern. Or what structural factors from land administration to building cost and financing are driving the surge in house rent? Beyond shelter, housing touches economic stability, urban planning, and social welfare. Now, the challenge is not just building more houses, but building access, affordable, inclusive, and sustainable access. So tonight on Korero, we will examine real estate and the housing deficiency and focusing on the challenges of house rent, estate investment, the risk that is involved, even for many that would say that is acquiring of property a risk or it is just a wealth strategy. Many would put the word, is it a gamble? That's for, even in the local parlance. But then joining me on this table is Mr. Gideon EKANEM, and he is the MD CEO of In Motion Business Limited. Well, we'll take a short break right now. When we return, we will dive straight into the conversation. Please go nowhere. The conversation begins immediately after this break. You're welcome back. For joining me in the studio right now is Mr. Gideon EKANEM. You're welcome to Korero.
Thank you. Thank you. Great honor. Glad to be here.
All right, Ms. Victor, let's even... Gideon, I beg your pardon. Let's even begin the conversation by first even looking at the disparity when it has to do with housing, the provision of housing by real estate companies, and the scarcity of house for many Nigerians who are currently even living, struggling to even get shelters as it stands right. Help us understand, what is it like? Is it that the real estate companies are not doing enough? The players within the real estate sector are not doing enough to provide shelter for Nigerians, or Nigerians are deliberately not even wanting to stay in what has been provided for them?
Well, I want to thank you for this question, really, because the concerns about real estate and housing is a national concern. And of course, you know, the housing deficit today is hitting about 28 million, according to the data that's available. And what's the reason for it? It's simply affordability, the purchasing power, right? And as a developer, right, our company, In Motion Business Limited, we have a presence here in Abuja, we have in Lagos, we are in Calabar, we are in Akwa Ibom, we are in Port Harcourt. And the question and the concerns are almost similar: purchasing power. All right, and real estate is not, housing is not scarce. It's simply affordability. How many people can actually afford it? And it has nothing to do with developers. Yeah, some developers do develop in high-end areas, like areas you could call prime areas, right? The cost, of course, nothing may really change in terms of the cost of construction, apart from finishing, right? But for many people who are in these areas, developers who are developing in these areas, their cost of development and their cost of rental is a lot higher than people who are developing in remote areas. You know, of course, you could know the zonings. And if somebody says, I need a facility, so since we're talking about rent right here, so somebody says, I need a house, I want to be able to stay in a place. And then you look at how much you can pay for what you want, right? So, and then there's the market forces, there's the volatility of the economy. That's, you know, you're having a bill of quantity today, because an average construction must have a bill of quantity. You have a plan, You've set out to do something. And then you start to do it, and then boom, in the middle of it, the dynamics change. Maybe you were selling, you were budgeting to buy cement for 10,000 naira, and then in the middle of it, cement is selling for 15,000. Developers is to deal with that. And then when you are done constructing this project, you have to make money. So for rental income, right? Some people want to, project closing out, exceeding this contract and exceeding in 10 years. Some people want to, exceed in 15 years, but depending. But the real reason why rents, is looking high and it's looking like people cannot see houses is simply because affordability, the buying power of people, and the purchasing power, right? And then the market forces.
Well, you mentioned exchange. You mentioned the volatility affecting construction costs.
Yeah.
And also the way to sustain the properties.
Yeah.
But then, for a lot of Nigerians right now, they will say that developers are the major cause of their problem. In the sense that when developers collect these properties, they pick these properties at a very cheap and affordable rate from the ancestral owners of this property.
Yeah.
Then they make the properties to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Even ensuring that people that were even living in those properties could no longer afford those properties. In such a scenario, can we tag developers as the major cause or the major problem of Nigerians, and why a lot of Nigerians are staying outside, even struggling to even get accommodation?
Look, this is an entire conversation, right? So you want to begin from the land acquisition itself. Land banking, or as the topic goes today, it's a long-standing transaction model. Okay, developers go into communities, acquire communities, deal with all of the situations. Maybe in Abuja that is a lot more regulated, they go to FCDA, they pay for the money, get their allocation, they spend a lot of money, plenty money, a lot of money. So for instance, if you're in Abuja, you want to get an allocation, you have to go through an entire process. You have to go and pick up a form, you have to fill out the form, you have to do all your feasibility studies, your drawing, right? And then you have to begin to push for an allocation to be put into your file. Then you have to pay for it. Then you have to pay for the documentations. Developers don't just go to a community and pick ancestral land. If I sell to you an ancestral land at a premium cost, there's no reason why you should buy with me. I'm a business person. I come into the place, I pick the product, I remodel the product, I look at the challenges of the product, I solve the problems for you. You're a broadcaster. You don't have time to go and look for a way to buy a good land. You don't have time to go and look for how to run around contractors and get them to build for you. We say that is our tough. So we sit down, right? We go to the community. We deal with the insecurity. We deal with the bribery and corruption. We deal with resistance. We deal with everything. We deal with government policies, right? I tell you something. So you can go and acquire a place, and you can get approval of government for that place, right? And you sell to people, and people are buying your construction, you're providing infrastructure. And then the next thing, there's a government project that is passing by that place, probably a road, or maybe an infrastructure, right? And then you lose the money. You are set back because A, you have to go back and start from zero, and B, you have to begin to run after government to give you compensation, right? And this is what the developers have to deal with. So developers don't go into a community. I have to address that. Developers don't go to a community, get ancestral lands, and sell at premium rates. Nobody is going to buy. Developers go into the place, do what you cannot do, transform the product into something you will love, and then present it to you. When somebody does the work, he's got to be able to get value for it, get money for it. Because, it's business. Business is either you're providing a product or you're providing a service. In this case, it's both a product and a service. So when developers go into a community, they transform the place to get the place ready for you.
So invariably, you're saying at this point that the developers do not have a uniform rate when it has to do with even the market control and regulation?
You cannot be a regulator and you are a developer. It doesn't go hand in hand.
But the developer, of course, we understand that they have RIDAN that is also responsible to even understand, to coordinate the whole real estate sector. Help us understand how it works. If we cannot have a uniform pricing system, even among developers so far.
There's nothing uniform about pricing, my dear brother. You know why? Because I'm saying to you, I'm constructing premium project. I'm building high rise. My finishing is not the same. There are different categories of people. There's the low income earners, there's the middle income earners, which today is almost being eroded, and then there's the high income earners. I'm not going to do a finishing for a low income earner, the same way I'm doing for a high income earner. Many people, they have preferences, right? So if you're a high income, developer, if you're a high income earner targeted developer, you're not going to be able to charge the same way you're charging for somebody's developing for a low income earner. So the work of RIDAN is a professional body for developers. Developers come together. We are members, right? Developers come together. They join, the association to be able to advocate against harsh government policies, to be able to make their voice known. Because as a single developer, if I'm having concerns about, with the government policy, my position in approaching the government is going to be very weak. But through RIDAN, we collectively have a voice. Right? RIDAN does not regulate how much cement is sold in the market. RIDAN does not regulate the cost of transportation of the materials of construction from the site, from the buyer, from the point of purchase to the site, to the construction site. Even if the product is low, the cost of transporting it, RIDAN does not have power over regulating the cost of fuel. And so is developers. And then developers don't have control over the labor market. The people who come in, these skilled workers who come in to do the work, who come in to commit their time and ensure that work is going on. So there's an entire range of things that the developers are not in control. The developers are not in control of how the doors are produced, the materials. They are not in control of the imported things. They are not in control if you are to buy.
But it's the same market. We can't deny the fact that they shop from the same market.
They shop from the same market. But are you aware today?
Yeah, please go
ahead. Are you aware today that if you call somebody now, if you bought something as simple as a tap, or what do you call it? If you buy something as simple as you're trying to fix a kitchen, so you have these kitchen cabinet things, sink things, and all of those things you want to buy. If you buy it, if you bought it yesterday, if you want to buy it again today, when you call the same vendor, he will tell you, let me confirm the current price. Okay?
All right. So in a situation where we have uniformity, let's take, for example, the whole real estate players went to the market, acquired this product on the same day, the same price. But then when it has to do with the housing, we tend to see a lot of discrepancies when it has to do with I'm asking this because you are a key player in the industry. Is this a deliberate move to punish Nigerians?
No developer acquires the same project at the same cost.
Let's take this as a case study, because we have a situation.
It's an uneven case study.
We have a situation where somebody in Abuja, let's take Abuja as a case study. Okay. Somebody in Papi in Abuja acquired that property some 20 years back.
Okay.
And right now, is collecting almost the same rent that people that recently built are collecting.
What's the inflation rate today?
Is the inflation rate, was the house built 20 years ago?
Okay.
What was the inflation rate like 20 years ago? Is this increment, is it due to the cost of maintenance, or it's a deliberate move?
You've answered the question.
No, is it due to maintenance, or it's a deliberate move to punish Nigerians? I'm curious.
Sincerely, right? And let's be very frank.
Yeah.
Honestly. If I built a house 20 years ago, I cannot, if I don't maintain that house in the current unit of the cost of things today, I cannot rent out that house as a modern house.
But the maintenance doesn't mean you're breaking the foundation. You're not starting from the scratch.
Look, most times you want to remodel this project. Most times, and forget about the outward structure. There's a lot of, people are not stupid. If you want to rent a house, you go and do assessment. So if, like in Pape and Katampe extension could be categorized under it, you go and see a 3-bed terrace or a 3-bed freestanding house, and then they are calling 15 million naira for you. In that same location, you see the same house, they are calling 10 million naira for you. The difference will be very clear. It's either it's in the fittings, the finishing, the details will be there. You can see it for yourself. Do you understand me? So if you say somebody built a house 20 years ago and is renting it or selling it in today's cost of go and see, there's an entire overhauling in that place. And developers don't actually, the kind of development that I do, my kind of developer, maybe some people do it, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but we're not ripping people off their monies. We're getting people to, look, you cannot blindfold anybody to pay for what they are not using. Value for money is a very critical factor in this, right? So developers don't just force anybody to get any product. People must see the value in it. And this is something I need you to pay attention to, right? People must see the value in it. So it's not a matter of somebody bought it many years ago and is reselling it. And again, let's talk about the inflation element of it. Somebody bought a property in Pape. Let's still use the Pape place. The person bought the property and then keeps paying ground rent. And ground rent keeps going up, right? He needs to renew, if he wants to get building approval, if he wasn't developing on the land, the cost of building approval today in development control is not the same as it was 20 years ago. Things have changed. And then people are being exposed today. Developers only respond to the way the economy.
So you're saying that it's not shared wickedness?
There's nothing like shared wickedness in this conversation for developers, because developers are human beings. They are not developing these places for spirits. They're developing it for their pastors.
But the inflation doesn't just touch on the developers. This inflation affects every Nigerian. This inflation affects both the rich and the poor and the middle class as it stands. Now, when the developers become inconsiderate, let's even borrow that term, and tend not to even understand that the salary has not been increased, people are feeling the heat of the inflation, yet they will go with the inflation price and increase rent out of their own need to meet up certain standard. Is this not unfair to Nigerians?
Look, I'm trying to let you to understand that whatever the pricing that any developer is giving for his project, there's reconciliation for it. And if you have money to pay for that project, for that property, you're not going to be hypnotized to pay for it. You're going to see value in it. And if you don't see value in it, you just walk away. However, housing needs, and that's why I want to applaud what Mr. President is doing. Housing needs is not something where a single company can begin to address. We're talking 28 million. Our company, we have a target to do 100,000 sustainable housing unit in 10 years. Minus 100,000 from 28 million. You've not even scratched the surface. That's more of a tip of the iceberg. Housing needs is a strategic. It's going to be a strategic. It's going to be a concern of the government. It's a need that has to be solved at a massive scale. And the government has introduced the Renewed Hope project, and I've gone to a couple of the sites. The projects are looking good.
Mr. Gideon, before you dive into government policies, of course, I begin to give the government a free advert even on the show. We'll come back to the government policies, but then let's talk about the land banking in Nigeria. Now, due to a lot of incidents that we've seen so far, a lot of quacks within the real estate sector, if you are to advise on acquisition of property right now, will you advise one to acquire properties, public land, as a smart wealth strategy, or just is a gamble?
Real estate and land banking is never gambling. It will never be. Land banking was actually strengthened by the Land Use Act of 1978, right, in Nigeria here. Land, the government is now holding land in trust for the public. Okay, land banking, the word land banking, it's really because of several concerns. They float this, they call it Bitcoin, they call it this, they call it that, but land banking is, the appreciation is influenced by urbanization, growth in population. So I don't know, are you married?
Yeah.
Okay. You have children?
Yeah.
How many children do you have?
3.
3 children. I have 3 children too.
All right.
How old are they? Probably?
They are good.
No. Probably, okay, for instance, maybe they are 5 years, right? Between 5 to 3 years in between, maybe, right? In the next 20 years, those 3 children will become, let's take it, maybe they want to get married, probably 3 of them, they could become 10 or 12, depending on what they want to do. Some could be more. Where you lived to raise them, your class, your age, your peers, they've bought the whole place. Regardless of how far it was that you went to get a place, pay attention, because the place will begin to be saturated. Your children, if you did not do the smart thing to buy more plots in where you raised them and save those plots, secure those plots and keep for them. If you didn't do the smart thing or buy in other emerging cities, emerging locations, which would have become prime locations in 20 years, if you did not do that smart thing for them, which every smart parent, should be able to do, your children, and if they don't have the ability, make the quick money, right, to buy in the prime locations, they are going to go to places that are emerging, right? They're going to go to places that are emerging, and then they will buy these places. That process, they have grown, they can no longer see places, they have to go to new places. Now, if you were visionary enough, real estate, land banking works like this. You find out where people are going, you go there before they get there. And that's why it looks like real developers are magicians. And then when developers go to these places before people go there, they tell people, come to this place because people are going to come here. What informs developers' knowledge of, what informs them, developers, to know that people are going to go there? It's not magic, and I'm going to show it today. It's simple. It's what's the government doing on that route? Do you have access to the master plan of what the government is doing there? If the government is putting major infrastructure there, regardless of how dark that place is, activities will be happening there, right? So these things are just the way they are. Nothing changed. It's influenced by population. So having known that, you have to go to where government is or to where activities are happening. If you invest and land bank, that is, you go to the middle of almost nowhere. One of the things that I would say, because gambling is out of it, gambling can be in it if you just go into a community blindly and you're not guided. Well, developers,
a lot of Nigerians would disagree with you on that. The gambling is not part of it.
Gambling is not part of gambling. Risk is part of.
Right. Well, so what do we call the risk and the gambling?
Risk is peculiar.
In the face of rising quackery in the real estate sector, where we have a lot of real estate company right now. If you want to even engage in land banking, you are saying right now that it's not a gamble, because right now we've seen situations that have played out in Ikorodu in Lagos. We've seen situations that have played out in Badagry in Lagos. We've seen situations playing out in the Federal Capital Territory,
Yeah.
in Abuja, a lot of these things are playing out on a daily basis, no matter how we try to make it look as though
Yeah.
it is not happening.
Yeah.
But then it is happening on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We know people that have acquired properties, and only for 5-6 years after they realize that these properties, although they bought from real estate companies, do not have legitimate and genuine documents.
I agree with you.
In such a scenario, are you saying
It's-
that land banking is not a gamble?
So what we do at InMotion, right? And we've done this over and over again. If we we train all our partners. If you go and meet anybody who is desperate to buy land, and the person doesn't seem to know what the business is all about, I tell people, yeah, we need the sales, but don't sell to the person. Rather, educate the person on what the market is saying. Give the person, because when you have an informed buyer, you have less stress. Okay, so what we do in our company is, and that's why we have almost zero cases. We tell you, this is what you want to do, this is the impact of what you want to do, these are the implications. In the face of, look, and I want to tell you something. It's very important for anybody who has money to invest in real estate to audit any real estate company they want to put his money into. Money is hard to come by.
Although the real estate companies will not agree to be audited.
No. By auditing, you may not want to go into checking, their books and all of that. By auditing, I mean you check the integrity of the leadership of the company.
How many real estate company will allow you to even have full access to actually do run an integrity test on them?
No, you don't need their permission.
All right.
You don't need their permission. You can go to CAC. Today is digitalized. You can do a search on who the people, and then look, a company is not the building. This place is about the people. It's about the leadership. And then you begin to look at the integrity of the people on the board of the company. What is the antecedent? Because there's predictability. If you go and invest in a company that the integrity of the leadership is not consistent, you're already losing. So this is a bragging right for us at InMotion. It's very important, and I want to address, I've not answered your question. Just allow me to answer your question. When people go to companies and buy, and then they now find out that, look, let me also drop this as I continue. In real estate, in real estate, a developer can do everything right and something can still go wrong.
So there's no automatic there's no perfect system in the real estate sector.
It's not perfect anywhere. There's no business model that is perfect. So that's why I have concerns with the word gamble. You can say it's risky because it's a business venture. It is gamble when the original intentions of the people who set up the company was to defraud. But it becomes risky because everybody is prone to accessing any level of risk. So when a developer goes to a place and buys the place and sells the place without doing due diligence, I don't know where they got their monies from, because if I want to buy a place, before we even sell any project to anybody, we are the first people to put monies inside the place. And monies are hard to come by, so we don't just throw our monies around. So we do due diligence on the place. However, you can do a due diligence on the place, get government approval on the place, right? Get government approval on the place, and then things can change. Government policies, projects can come up that is called overriding public interest. Overriding public interest. Now, because of the Land Use Act of 1978, which the government is holding the land in trust for the public, it's an interesting conversation. Now, regardless of, even if you had a C of O on that land, they will revoke all rights to that land. That has nothing to do with the developer, because the developer's approval was gotten from the government. It will have something to do with the developer if the developer did not have government approval. I tell you something, in Akwa Ibom, one of our projects, Urban Market Estate, we had acquired, we're doing infrastructure, we're building for people. And then one day I was in Abuja here, and then some of the securities at the site called and said, some people are here. They said that this place, that Coastal Road has passed here. I said, they are kidding. I turned off the phone. The following day, the same people, the guys called me from the side. They said, sir, These people are here and they are marking the whole place. I said, really? And they began to mark the place. I said, but I have my approval. I have my approval. I have my approval, government approval. Do you understand? It has nothing to do. So where people get scammed or gamble with is if that project did not have the requisite documentation or approval, we would have been exposed. Okay? So the risk involved in going into any project is you going into the project and not ticking all the boxes. I tell people, tick the boxes. From your due diligence on the integrity of the leadership of the company, to the titles, to the relevant approvals. Do not gamble with your money.
All right, interesting. Let's move away from that and let's talk about building collapse.
Yeah.
Which of course a lot of Nigerians are losing their properties and losing their lives.
Yeah.
Due to what we see, all of the building collapse we've experienced so far.
Yeah.
Now, if we go by the figures.
Yeah.
And looking at the building integrity tests, running an integrity test on those buildings, it tends to be that real estate developers have done a poor job in all of this. But then this is becoming like a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor in the Nigerian real estate sector. So I'm curious at this point, are building collapse as a result of a weak regulation or corruption, or developers deliberately using substandard materials in order to make profits?
Everything about real estate borders around integrity. Quote me anywhere. Everything about real estate success borders on integrity. Integrity of who? Integrity of the leadership of the project, of the company. I am telling you the truth that once you have your checklist as a company, quackery cannot survive. You have your chains of commands. You don't want to go into a construction and you don't have the right people on the site. You don't have a structure.
So is it weak regulation or corruption? Which one should we tie this to?
Most times,
building collapse.
Most times, when developers are going for approvals, they put themselves together, they look very good in front of regulators, they write CVs together, they get their approvals. When it's time to execute on ground, they begin to cut corners. Okay, I tell you a classical example. In one of our projects in Akwa Ibom, we had this guy who was doing supervisory work for us. He knew tiling work, he knew masonry, he knew how to do most of these things. And then he began to advise us. He moved from, he began to give professional advice, in quotes. And then one day I went to site and he said one thing, and then the people in the site executed. Before I got back with the professionals, they had faulted what he was doing. Who lost money? We lost money. Because of our integrity, we said, no, this cannot stand. We have to redo this the right way. Most developers may not have the patience for that, and frankly, because they have very lean budget and they want to make too much profit, okay, at the expense of their name. So everything goes back to the integrity of the organization. Now, regulation has its part to play, because when you are done giving approvals, it is the work of the foot soldiers of the regulatory organizations to go to this site intermittently and check what is going on there. Check the integrity of the work. But I'm telling you, when it's time for construction, thickness of concrete, you want to concrete, you want to do German floor, there's a lot of logic and politics that goes into that place. And the only thing that can save any project is the integrity of the organization, the integrity of its officials at the site to be able to do the right thing, and the proper costing for that project. So building collapse is largely an issue of integrity. And I want to tell you something. Nobody actually sets out to do a construction project for it to collapse. I don't think anybody does that. Like the classical example in the Ikoyi, one of the buildings that collapsed in the Ikoyi and even killed the owner of the project. Does it even make sense? It does not make sense. Why do I want to go and start a project that will collapse and you know what I mean? So most times, these people also hand over these projects And there are people who don't have a history, who don't have anything to do with development, simply because they just jump at money and they feel they can do it. And then they don't subject themselves to professional advisory. That's also what you see in the market. But if you know you have money, why are you gambling with it? In fact, invest this money with a development company that have the right expertise.
Well, Gideon, so you've said a lot this evening, but then where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
A lot of Nigerians right now watching across the world want to even get a tip, a solution to what should they do at this point. The housing deficiency in the country is rising on a daily basis. The population is expanding. A lot of Nigerians, it has been also stated, predicted, and presumed that a lot of Nigerians will likely, the number of housing deficiency is going to keep rising if urgent steps are not taken to address them. Now, this leaves a bitter taste in our mouth. So where do we go from here?
Well, I touched on that, and then you said I was campaigning for the government, but it's not, because when things are going on, we have to speak to them. It mustn't be everything politics. There's a lot of housing solutions that are going on today. We have the mortgage bank. The mortgage bank needs to be able to do, make its processes to be flexible. We have Murphy that's under
the mortgage bank that is selective. It's housing regulations. So it seems.
Well, in Nigeria, right? In Nigeria, many institutions become very unapproachable when you don't seem to know some of the key players inside. It's in Nigeria. It's not even in Nigeria. It's generally a global thing sometimes, okay? But these institutions, if they want to pay attention to the situation of the rising, population that we have, the housing deficits that we have, they have the financing. The mortgage bank have the financing. There's the housing insurance fund, right? Every person is contributing, to it. We have it in our company, I think under income, right? People are contributing. There's a lot of money warehoused with the mortgage bank. Developers are struggling with accessing money, and that's why I like what Mr. President did when he created this Murphy thing under the Ministry of Finance. But again, what's the reach of that money? How many people have been able to access it? So access to financing is very key to helping developers to create the real solutions that they need. Number two, if people want to solve their problem, they need to find a real estate company that they can trust and work with. The options are not very much, except you want to go and learn construction, you want to go and do all that and come and do that by yourself. But to avoid quackery, to avoid the rising cost of this, the government needs to expand its solution. The Renewed Hope project for the housing thing is looking good. I think they can expand on it. The federal mortgage, because these are not things that individuals can do who are just coming up. Many people playing in the real estate market, most of them rarely have access to financing, because if you want to go to the capital market, the journey of going to the capital market is pretty interesting. Most developers may not have access to such information. They need to get an advisory firm, they need to get credit rating, they need to get all of this to be able to access financing. So the government on its part is doing great with the Renewed Hope project, but it can be expanded, and it can be, the speed in it can be increased. The process of accessing the contracting and accessing the land can be simplified, and then developers can be engaged. People who are struggling with quackery, they don't want to get their monies missing. My advice to them is simple: find a company like InMotion. I'm telling you the truth. By the time you are able to come to see what we do, our processes, we will give you the way it is.
All right. Before we even let you go, Mr. Gideon, let me come personal on you right now. Are you? There are whispers first that Mr. Gideon is likely going to become a major political figure in Akwa Ibom State. Of course, it's whispers. Let's get you quickly react. Are you vying for any political office anytime soon?
No, I'm not. But this is what I've done, and I can say it boldly anytime. I love what Mr. President is doing. I love the boldness and the audacity in his policies. I love the approach. I followed him. I was in Lagos when he was the governor. I've seen the aggressiveness in what he's doing. So I got involved with the City Boy movement last year, and then we took it to Akwa Ibom, and just to get people to see what Mr. President is, because there's a lot of work that's going on. Okay, but I'm not contesting any position. No, I'm not. I'm in business, and again, for the kind of business that we do, we work with the government. We don't own the land. The government hold the land and the title in trust for us. When we need it, we have to appeal to them.
So we are not seeing you on the ballot 2027.
Well, as at this moment, we have massive things going on in our company, and it's not within.
But if the people want you to emerge from Akwa Ibom State, you will honor them.
I'm not.
Or you will decline.
I'm not looking at that.
That is just, let's get the breaking news question out at this point. If the people are asking and calling for you to come serve in a leadership capacity, will you decline?
Sir, let me tell you.
Mr. Gideon, is a yes or a no?
It's a yes. The reason why it's a yes, because I wanted to give you the background.
All right, please.
Service is something I'm born to do. I don't struggle to serve. I love to serve. And regardless of how much money I may have, I will not be able to impact my community at the scale of which a political platform would allow me to impact. I love my people. I love to bring the ideas that I've gathered to impact on them. I won't be able to use my business money to do that. It's only a political platform that can help me to achieve that.
So it's a yes that we're seeing you on the platform.
If they want me to serve and I feel it's something that is worth giving it a shot, I'm here to serve. I love the legacy of impacting people, because success without significance is emptiness. True success should be able to touch the lives of other people. If you are succeeding just for your circle, you're not really successful. And I love to touch the lives of people, and the only place that can guarantee a large platform for that to happen, I think it's a political platform.
We'll see how that plays out in the coming days, because we are also monitoring and also following to ensure that we get feedbacks about your political manifesto and your agenda.
Come on.
Well, it's on this one I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Gideon EKANEM, for finding our time to talk.
Great honor.
Real estate and of course housing deficiencies in Nigeria with us today.
Yeah.
And hope when next we need you, you'll be available for us.
Hit me up, man.
Definitely. Well,
Thank you.
Viewer, is how far we can go tonight on Correro. Do not forget that you can join the conversation across all our social media platforms currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.